Good evening and welcome to Greater Somerville for September 30th, 2014. I'm Kyan Anderson. Tonight's topic, Somerville Local First and stimulating the local economy. How this one group has helped to create a movement to keep Somerville's independent business scene alive, quirky, and strong. As fierce advocates for Shop Local movement, our guests tonight are no strangers to this topic. Representing the Somerville Local First organization, they are here tonight to talk about their mission, why they are motivated to do what they do, and why you need to be at Harvest Fest 2014 on Saturday, October 18th. So please join me in welcoming for her debut and his return appearance here on Greater Somerville, Kat Rutkin and Joe Grafton to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kyan.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Thank you for coming out on such a, it's just really gross outside. You know, I'm laughing because I'm like, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh yeah, come to Union Square, it's so lively, and it's just kind of like, yeah.
It's nice. It's Irish out.
You know what? It is Irish out. That's a good way to think about it. No, it's a very wonderful way to think about it. So here we are at the Scout TV set. Harvest Fest is upon us, and we'll get to that in a little bit, because that's a very important point for everybody to know about. So let's talk maybe a little bit about the organization, because it's interesting to have the founding, executive director here, as well as the current executive director, which is fantastic. So it was founded, Joe, you founded it in 2008?
Yeah, like 07, 08, we did a slow build and then officially launched in 09, May of 09. So
Okay.
like I was working on it in 07, 08, but we sort of count our birthday, May Day 2009.
Your birthday is May Day. Okay, very nice. And Kat, now you joined the team, or you joined in 2012?
Yes.
Okay. So you're relatively new.
Yes.
You're showing the rest. But now Joe's on the board.
Yes.
So that's helpful. Because a lot of people, it's funny, we were just here, and Wendy Blum, the executive director of SCAT, she was like, oh my gosh, no, she didn't expect to see you. And I think it's interesting, because you have been, year after year, out and about, going all the wonderful places in Somerville. Now, Kat, that's on you. But it's great to have you back. You went away, and now you're back.
Yeah, I was in Western Mass for a little bit.
Yeah.
I tried living in the country and made my way back to the city where I belong. Yeah.
But now, I don't want to razz you, but I will.
By all means. Resi's was
because it's your third time on the show.
Yeah.
You live in Cambridge, right?
I actually live in AP.
Okay.
I know.
I think I'm going to take my microphone off. This is over. I'm done.
I am a community member of Somerville Local First.
You
so
are.
I do pay my dues. So,
Okay,
yeah.
and you're on the board. You have paid your due. You get a free pass.
Yeah.
And now, do you live locally?
I do. I live in Somerville.
Okay, good.
Yes.
See?
Yeah, well, that's why she's the director.
Yeah, no. Kicked him out, put you in. No, I'm just kidding. So now, what made you take this position?
Well, it ended up just being very good timing. So I have a background in urban planning and economic development. And when I lived in Brooklyn until about almost 4 years ago, I was running a business improvement district in Brooklyn. So, and also just am a huge fan of small business. I'm the granddaughter of small business owners. And Joe was moving on just about when I was ready to go back into the workforce. I was home for a year with my son and then was looking for a position. It was a great fit. And
Yeah. And so you're from New York originally? Okay, that's okay.
But we live here now.
You live here now. That's important. Where are you from, Joe?
I grew up in High Park, so I'm a Boston guy originally.
See,
Yeah.
okay, there
Yeah.
you go. You get
That's
some
right.
cred, some street cred. So now
All the street cred, actually.
all the street cred. So now you're on the board. Now you are on, and I'm selfish here, but I can because it's my show. The CAC committee, the Citizens Advisory Committee. For those of you who don't know, Union Square is about to embark on a huge amount of development, and in fact, they recently, the Somerville Redevelopment Authority just selected a master developer, US2, who will be looking over the overall development of an amazing amount of land. And so the CAC, which you are a member of, gave the SRA a recommendation as to who they felt was the best developer, or who the city represented, the community, etc. So that process, now you're still overseeing, now that the city has selected someone, you're still overseeing, what are you overseeing exactly?
Well, we are now working with the master developer and working and developing the process. So the CAC is still sort of hammering out its role and figuring out where we're going, but also meeting with US2 and talking about each of the interests that all of us bring to the table.
Okay.
So we met with them to talk about the interests of the local business community, and I've actually found them to be really wonderful and receptive.
Okay.
And pretty interested in what we have to say.
Interesting. So we might talk a little bit about them later in the show, just because I have a couple of questions for that and how it's going to impact Union Square and likewise the local businesses. But let's talk a little bit about Somerville Local First in terms of your mission. Mission of engaging business and community leaders in building economies that are green, local, and fair.
We actually have an updated mission statement.
Whoa!
Yeah. And
Hot off the press on Greater Somerville.
So we did this, and then Kat and I were like, all right, so I should probably know what this is. So let's see how I do, right? So our mission is to create a community where the independent local economy thrives, and we do that by educating and engaging community members, localizing purchasing power, and strengthening entrepreneurship. That's what we do.
Okay, so that's going to be on the website soon then.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I just took this from the website.
Yeah, we're a little behind.
I did my research.
Yeah,
Oh, that's okay.
But hey, you got the scoop.
Yeah, well, hey, you heard it here first here,
you're
folks.
welcome.
So,
Great job, by the way.
talk to me about Shift Your Shopping, Move Your Money. I mean, it's all kind of connected, right? But I mean, those are things that you initiated in terms of trying to get people, which I have to say, I've been in Somerville for about 13 years. Wow, that's a long time. But it really has changed, I think, in the last, say, 5, 6, where it's just this, again, I mean, you can elaborate a little bit on the Shift Your Shopping and the Shift Your Shopping and the 10% shift. Just a little bit goes a long way in a localized economy. Now, why is that?
Well, I guess I would say, the reason why we've over, our history sort of had these varying sort of types of campaigns is, the message can get stale. Any message can get stale if you don't have billions of dollars in marketing behind it, right? So we've got to find a way to do effective grassroots marketing and messaging and education. Shift Your Shopping is about holiday shopping, right? So that's about, like a particular time of year when people are focused on gift buying. Move Your Money is about where you keep your financial institution relationships and where you're doing your financing and your banking, and so that's a piece of it. And I think ultimately the organization and the campaigns and the programs and the directories and the guides and the coupon books and everything else that we've done have been about trying to create a cultural shift in Somerville and trying to move sort of the needle of public understanding and sort of where the public stands on these things. And I would say probably one of my greatest sources of pride in the organization is reading report backs from local newspapers about community members who are in community meetings who are talking about economic development in a way where they're carrying forward our message but have no direct relationship with us. And I see that all the time. And to me that feels like we've kind of moved the needle, and obviously it's not a black and white issue, and there's not right or wrong in every situation, but it does feel to me like the community has really taken on those values and made them their own.
So now, Kat, what about the membership drive? Like you mentioned, these people that have been sending your message without even being connected to Somerville Local First necessarily, but the members that you do have, like what type of memberships do you have? Is it businesses or can anyone join? Do you have to be a Somerville resident? Can you, have someone sponsor you? I know that sounds foolish, but what if someone wants to get involved? How can they do that?
Well, we do have business memberships, and those are open only to locally owned independent businesses. And we also have a community membership. Like Joe said, he's a community member, doesn't live in Somerville. So if you just want to be a supporter, that's a really great way to join. And that's pretty much a make your own membership level.
So the community membership, the business memberships, now what is that? Is that like a certain percentage or just a certain flat fee? And then you get, is every year they pay that? So I mean, you're getting supported financially from those business memberships.
Yeah, it's a small fee. It's about $10 a month for businesses.
Really?
So,
Wow.
It's a great value.
It is a great value. Well, so they get, now tell us a little bit, so the $10, they get to be involved in this organization.
Yeah, and we have some technical assistance seminars that we do. We did 2 this year, one on business financing and just different ways to think about financing your business. We did another one on how to blog for business with Dennis Fishman, and we also...
And Dennis Fishman, sorry, I
he's from
should...
Communicate Consulting. He has a new sort of...
Just trying to get that little...
He specializes in nonprofit consulting. And also, we're having one coming up in November about sort of, it's a food business panel. So we have someone who has a certified home kitchen, Jeremy Spindler. He's going to be talking about how you can get a certified home kitchen, which I don't know if a lot of people know about.
And this is when?
It's in November. We don't have a date yet.
Okay, but that will be on the website. We'll have all the information on our blog.
And it will likely be at the new Aeronaut Space as well.
The Aeronaut Space, Aeronaut Brewery, like those guys.
Love those guys.
Great.
Well, I mean, that's really been what's been so interesting, like as you're saying, shifting and seeing the cultural shift in Somerville. There really has been this innovative kitchen, like Kitchens Inc. is a fantastic concept, right? And with that, there's been so many interesting businesses that have come out of that, that now it's like, so in November, people who may be at home that may be like on the cusp, because I think Kitchens Inc., you have to like sign up on a waiting list. I mean, it's an incredibly long waiting list, which is great because it's popular, but it, it's that, some of these people might have to be able to, if they go to your seminar, they'll be able to understand these things. And one other thing too, you've got a coupon book. I love this coupon book. And it comes out, like, when do you, I mean, how?
You mean the Local's Guide to Somerville?
No, but don't you have a coupon? No, you don't? But you did do that.
I did do that.
Okay, I was going to say, my gosh, you're making me, Joe was intentionally trying to make me look bad, but there was a coupon book.
Twice now. So, yes,
That's
there
okay.
was a coupon book.
That's
We
okay.
did
It happens.
we did that early on our own, and then we partnered with Cambridge one year to do that.
Yeah.
We kind of moved away from coupon books. That was under my reign of terror. So
Okay, just a couple years ago, not too long
So it was
ago.
obviously the wrong decision. But we moved away from that partially because that was also the time when like Groupon was really strong. And,
yes,
and
that's true.
The idea of devaluation and discounting can be really harmful to local businesses because it devalues the product and service that they offer. So it was great, and coupons are still around, and people are still using them, but we kind of migrated away from that. Part of it was also when we moved from myself to Kat, we wanted to right-size the programming because we were probably doing too much.
No.
So
You do too much? No.
we were doing too much. We as a
No, I'm
group were
just
doing
kidding.
too much. Yeah, no, it's all right.
But the book contains the businesses. So, for example,
Right.
Kat, like if you were to get a business membership, then you could, Union Square Donuts, they
Right.
could be in that book if they
That's
pay
right.
the membership. That gives you this book, and this book is a nice little catalog, and people can page through it and just say, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize this type of business was available."
Yeah, and
So
it was a really good version of it this year. A lot of really good content too,
Okay.
like not just sort of like a directory and listings, but the intention of it was to be a guide, right? That's why we call it a guide, a local's guide
A
to
local's
Somerville,
guide.
right?
So we tried to get some local businesses and leaders to write little things about why they love Somerville and why they located here.
Yeah.
And that was, it was right after Elise Andrews joined our board from
Yep.
the Somerville Beat, so we had a lot of editorial
Elise,
experience.
love Elise.
Yeah.
Great blog.
So,
Great logo.
We worked on that, and it's a neat book that people can sort of keep, and it's
Yeah.
got a little content. So.
And it's actually one thing too is it's really great for like businesses that maintain an office. So I have a lot of friends who are in Cambridge and Somerville who run businesses, and they keep a Cambridge and a Somerville directory in there because they want to know, like, all right, we need X. What other
Who can I go to locally? So it actually just pays it
Exactly.
forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So now membership, if you want to join Somerville Local First, you can always go, you just go to the website, contact Kat, and find out more, whether you're a business or, just an interested person. You guys have a lot of great events. We'll talk about your main event, Harvest Fest, that's coming up in October. In a moment, I just have a couple of just interesting kind of questions I want to throw at you. You got these ahead of time, so I'm just going to shoot. One of the things that I am obviously particularly interested in, I think a lot of people are interested / anxious about, are the development kind of opportunities, but yet what's going to happen. And what I'm interested in is, because you guys have theoretically the pulse of local businesses, what they're feeling, how are they planning to brace for this? I mean, what is the overall feeling that local businesses are expressing to you, and is there anything that your organization is doing to, say, counter the potential impacts of what we might be seeing in the next 10 years?
Sure. So, I think in terms of what we've been doing is just trying to make sure that business owners know what's happening, particularly located in hot development areas like Union Square. So we've been doing a lot of information dissemination to make sure that folks know that there are meetings happening and that they should attend them and that they should make their voices heard. We have a Union Square lunch that we've done in the past, and so we have the city come down and talk about zoning changes, particularly for some of the manufacturing and fabrication businesses. We're a little concerned. So we try to have a pretty consistent dialogue and be a go-between whenever we can. And I think just, that's sort of our job. And I feel like with all of these things that are happening, it's really the job of the other residents to support the businesses when they can, and just, to remember to always, when there is a local alternative, to try to do that, because it's really important, and that's, to make sure that you visit Ricky's or visit one of our local businesses.
And it impacts your money, like your money goes so much further with just, buying the flowers at Ricky's or at some other place, that's local versus somewhere else. Yeah, no, that's true.
Does. I mean, even when you think about it, like I'm a parent, and you think about just making these purchases, it's going to help our schools, it's going to help our roads, it's going to make everything safer and a better place to live. So, and you really sort of have to think about like the overall impact of, not just that part, but also making the community a really interesting place to live. And that's why we came here in the first place, because it's such a cool place, and that's what keeps it cool.
But how do you handle the raising of the rents? For example, Davis Square, I know in particular, Johnny D's, a lot of them got hit really hard, and some of them chose to move because of that. And I'm just curious, I think it's wonderful to hear that the city is involved, because I do believe that the city, with their community outreach effort with the master developer Union Square, for example, really does care about that local quirky flavor that you're describing and that you guys help create and maintain. But I mean, as far as the rents go, I mean, that's one of those things, like what is there anything that can be done there? I know you're not experts on like rent control, so I don't want to take this episode where it shouldn't go, but
sure.
But what do you think?
Well, I mean, I was mentioning to Kat, and I don't know if this would have worked or not, but the one thing that I've started to tell people a little bit is if I could do anything differently in the formation of this organization, we would have worked on property ownership well in advance of what's happening right now, like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
You mean encouring people to buy their property?
Encouraging the businesses who are located in the building to buy their building, because what ends up happening is, even if you have there's a variety of scales of landlords, and even the most invested in community landlord is going to get the market rate or something close to it. They might take a little bit less, but they're not in a charity, right? Like they're running a business. So, and then you have another side and another side of the spectrum where there's very little consideration for community, maybe because they're not here or they're it's just not that important to them. So the issue really is that as far as Union Square goes, like that ship has sailed. Like there's nothing that you have to. You're playing a different game now because of the valuation of the property and the development and all this other stuff. So I really do think that the best thing that we as an organization can do is try and help these businesses be as successful as we can, and try and get the residents to understand that, like, if you want them here, you need to be there. They like if the decision is, well, it's like 3 minutes more convenient for me just to go to Target or go to a big box or go buy online and not buy from the local business that's in my community. In 3 years when they're not there, don't complain about it, because you led to that, right? It's your behavior that ultimately affects their revenues and allows them to stay or not.
But there are some, for example, I was happy to see that Sessa's, well, I wasn't happy to see that it was closing, okay? But I was happy to see that there was, Sessa's is in Davis Square, Italian, I love the shop, but they're basically switching ownership. After 35 years, they've been there, and they're switching shop to Pepe Bocca, I think is the name of it. But it's another Italian, it's kind of like a handed-down business. But, for example, that's an example where you know that they're busy, but they've been there for so long. So, I mean, those are the ones that, there's a lot of businesses that are popping up in the last, say, 10 years. And they're just as important, don't get me wrong. But I really feel that one of the concerns I have is the flavor of Somerville going out with, these people that have been here 35, 40 years. But, I guess we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, change happens regardless.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm an embrace of change. So let's talk about Harvest Fest. Harvest Fest is one of my favorite events.
Mine too.
And October 18th, it's going to be at the Arts at the Armory. It is, well, why don't you just share a little bit? There's 2 sessions. Tickets still available?
Yes, tickets are still available.
Okay.
We have both the regular and the VIP level where you get
A
a special
VIP.
tasting glass. This year's VIP ticket is amazing. We have a full-size bag of Spindler Confections caramels. We have different gift certificates to local businesses. I heard there might be a Cuisine Locale taco gift certificate.
Oh my God, they have great tacos.
Yes, very good tacos, so it's definitely worth it. So the VIP tickets are about $50. Regular admission is $35.
35, and there's 2 sessions. So on Saturday, if you want to drink early or later, or I guess you don't have to drink. You don't have to drink, but I mean, you know, there's a lot of really great local breweries, as we all know.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that, folks. You're feeding the local economy and you're enjoying some nice beverages. So from
well, and I would also say too. I mean, this is a key sort of pillar of our annual fundraising. So
Yeah.
it's a really important event for us as an organization to raise necessary funds to keep the lights on and make sure the cat has a job and gets paid and all these important things. Not that we rely completely on that, but I would also say, Cayenne, that you know, we started. This is the 6th annual, right? So we've been doing this for 6 years. And in that time, from the time that we started to the time that we'll have our 6th annual, there's been a proliferation in beer festivals, right? Like
proliferation. I'd agree with that.
You know, there's maybe even a little bit of market fatigue, right? There's too many of these things, maybe not, but but we do it a little differently. And I think what's cool about Harvest Fest is there's a very much community spirit to it, and it's a small capacity. So a lot of times you see like 600, 800, 900 people attend these things. Ours are about 300, so it's a much more intimate feel, and we focus a lot more on food. So we'll have, what is it, 10 or 8, something like that, 8 to 10 restaurants from Somerville offering basically a meal when you piece all the small bites together. Over the course of each 3-hour session. So like you can come and have lunch and then sample a bunch of great breweries and a cidery, or come and have dinner and get to see a band or a DJ and get to see a bunch of people that you know, and get to support us. So
yeah, so it's a win-win. But okay, so let's just be clear so people are aware. Session 1 is from 2 to 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Session 2 is from 6 to 9. That's the rowdy session. I always went to the early one, and then all of a sudden I was leaving and I saw these other people come in. I'm like, wow, this seems like a rowdier crowd, depending on what your flavor.
Yeah, I would say, you know, a little bit sexier in the evening session for sure.
A little sexier. Yeah. Well, you can go to your website, www.somerville.localfirst.org.
No dot after Somerville. Somerville Local First.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a typo on my part. Well, that's strike number 3, Joe. But anyway, www.somervillelocalfirst.org. You can find out all the people that are going to be there. Who are your main sponsors? Very nice. I like the teacup. That's very nice. Who is the main sponsor? Who are your main sponsors for the event?
Our main sponsors are Eastern Bank and also Community Credit Union. They're the new credit union opening in Davis this year.
Yep.
A lot of credit unions opening. There's a lot of local banks opening recently. I feel like in Union State, there's one down here as well. No.
Yeah,
it's a trend.
As a state, we've actually lost like 25% of our local community banks in the last decade, but we're still well ahead of what's going on in the rest of the country. Oh, that's good here. Yeah. Since
we're talking Davis Square, we've got about 5 more minutes, and we can talk a little bit, give you guys a little bit of time to talk about Harvest Fest and Somerville Local First. But Roach Brothers. Thoughts? Let's discuss.
You know, that was my first job.
No.
I was a bagger at the Westwood store when I was 14 years old.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Little nostalgia for you.
Yeah, a little nostalgia. That's right. Yeah, back in the day.
When are they coming? They are coming.
I don't know what the details are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just saw some book updates.
But you know, I mean, they're a family-owned business. I know that their price points, I think, are a little bit high in the grocery world. But the service and the quality is supposedly pretty good.
Okay.
And you know, independent business that's family-owned and Massachusetts only. So.
And in a great location that honestly has been vacant for so long. I'm happy to see that go there than Beerworks. And I'm sorry, all you beer fans. I just feel like I was happy that dinner. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's talk. Kick-ass cupcakes. I was saddened to see them go. I mean, they just kind of vanished. I mean, and obviously you don't have to divulge anything, but I
actually don't know the story.
Really? Yeah, I don't know. Because they were in their original location, then they moved down by the Armory, and then they just kind of poof. And then in the same month, M3. That was crazy. M3 apparently didn't pay their rent for 16 months or something like that, which really incredible food. And I just had a burger there. I had they had the best burgers, and I had my last burger there, and then they're gone. So I'm just curious if you don't know anything about in terms of anything moving into that, because there's a lot of vacancies in that over where when pigs fly. No?
Right. No, I haven't heard anything about anything.
Okay.
But
Yeah, well, it seems like the
sad to
Davis
see
Square
that.
area, the vacancies are always kind of like, there's a little bit of vacancy and then it just kind of pops up. One of the yogurt places went, there's 3 yogurt places. I
There
don't
are
think
3 of
it's a
them.
lot of yogurt.
Yeah,
The whole
yeah.
yogurt thing went.
A lot of yogurt, yeah.
So
right.
I'm definitely a fan of, I mean, I don't want things to change over too much, but it's nice to see, kind of fresh businesses.
Yeah.
Do you think the city is supportive of the smaller business community in terms of getting its, kind of foot in the door?
I think that they're taking a lot of steps to
Okay.
make things a lot easier to open a business. There's been a lot of feedback recently about how hard permitting can be.
I've heard that, and I didn't want to talk,
Yeah.
badly, but I understand that the permitting process can be absolute bear.
Well, I know that they're totally revamping it to
They
try
are.
and make it easier, and
That's
there's
great.
a way you can track online and see what's happened, so your permits don't kind of go into the abyss. And they're pretty open to feedback, and they really want to know how people are liking it. And we're actually using it for the first time to get some of our Harvest Fest permits. So,
Really?
Now,
Okay, so the question, so they just go to the city's website and they can find out about
the
the
city's
permitting.
website. It has some more stuff about the permits, and they also have a new small business specialist who's just been really fantastic.
And what's their
His
name?
first name is Max, and it's a little
Okay.
late for me right now, so I'm
That's
forgetting.
okay.
I'm
That's
forgetting
okay.
last names after 7 p.m. I'm just sort of off in the ether.
Small
but
business
he's
expert.
really wonderful. He's also on the website. And
On the
he's-
Somerville Local First website
No,
or on
he's
the city website?
website.
City
So for the
employee,
local
yeah.
business owners, if you're wanting to start your own business and you're a little intimidated, get in contact with Kat or go on to the city website and check out, all the different kits and things that they have to
Yeah, they're
facilitate
definitely
that.
working to make it a lot easier.
You know what I love that they're doing? This is my soapbox. I love outdoor seating. The outdoor seating just enlivens the street. I mean, I don't know. They're doing something at Magoon Square. Maybe it's just Oktoberfest because, when in Rome, it's like time to drink beer. But I love the outdoor seating. I just think it has really made things, and granted, I would assume that there's things for, making sure that people are quiet and respectful, because fortunately not everyone was that way, but hopefully the Somerville neighbors are. So kudos to the city for making that happen. So we only have a couple minutes left, so I'm wondering if maybe you guys, encourage again all the people at home. You guys have Facebook page, Twitter @local1st, so @local1st, 3,800 followers, very popular group. So check out Facebook, Twitter, and maybe just talk a little bit, couple minutes about in terms of what's the takeaway from tonight. Obviously, go to Harvest Fest, but why is Somerville Local First so important as an organization for our community?
I don't know. I'm going to be a little lazy and let Joe handle that because he's
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. So we didn't really go into the details, but I'll do it now. I mean, when someone spends their dollars locally, 2 to 3 times as much of that money stays in the community, and there's a variety of reasons why that happens. It's called the local economic multiplier. Has to do with buying from other local businesses and people living here and people paying taxes here and all this other stuff. And Somerville is really viewed nationally as this like hotbed of development. It's akin to Brooklyn. And so, the residents and the stakeholders here really have the opportunity to preserve, to a great extent, maybe not a full extent, but to preserve the things that are unique and quirky and fun and awesome about Somerville. And, if we don't do that as a community, then it's going to become homogenous and it's going to be like a lot of other places. So I got into this world because I really believe that collectively we have this tremendous amount of power, and we as an organization, a very small, mostly volunteer-run organization, do everything that we can throughout the year to try and get that message out there and to engage people. So if this resonates with someone at home, get in touch with us and find a way to get involved, or try and modify that behavior of yours. Look for small ways that you can make some changes. And especially if you're rooted here for the long term, at the end of the day, it's your community 10 years from now. What do you want it to look like?
That wraps it up very nicely. I'd like to thank our guests, Joe Grafton and Kat Rutkin, for stopping by Greater Somerville and letting us know about all the exciting upcoming events of Somerville Local First. Make sure you purchase your tickets today for the 2014 Harvest Fest coming up at the Arts at the Armory on Saturday, October 18th from either 2 to 5 or the Rowdy Group of 6 to 9 p.m. So buy your tickets online today. And a reminder to viewers at home how important shopping local is to stimulate the local economy. With development on the rise and the potential threat of smaller scale businesses to be suffering from higher lease rates, every purchase you make at these stores does really matter. So let's make sure we keep Somerville having that funky aspect that we all know and love, and we want to make sure that the businesses stay here for good. So please check out our website tonight for information on tonight's episode and Somerville Local First websites, all their information as well. That does it for us tonight. Thank you to the viewers at home for watching, and as always, stay safe and stay informed. Good night, everyone.